My friends, thanks for joining. So I have been a bit busy with the other channel, the professional one, because job-wise I'm really busy, but I want to keep up this personal channel, and it's all based on sharing is caring because it's only the attempt to share some experience around. When I've been moving abroad and living across countries, I realize how traveling and living in a place is completely different. One of the main differences is that you see the life of a place for the job in various contexts that are different than the one that is just visiting. This obvious statement is to add that on top of that, when you travel, you open your mind because you are exposed to completely different way of thinking, and you realize how much of that is having some sort of templates and pattern that are cultural or geographically binded as well. So when I've been working in Asia, I was surprised to see how the commitment to the company was let them to change your career path. So if the company need to transform you from a technical role to a sales role, is okay because the company need that. And that is obviously binded to to your way of thinking. But you don't have to go too far to see all these differences. If you work in UK, you see how often change job is normal, and you conflict completely with the Germany uh, way of thinking and the habits to do it. I come from a country where actually the target was to work for one company for the entire life, and it was normal. The economy changed and the dynamic of the market changed too. So today I want to discuss about perception, human perception, because when you are going abroad, it will be your main issue, how people perceive you. So it's easy to say that it's not what you say, it's how you get perceived. Because actually, our entire life is about perception. We spend a tons of time studying about psychology, studying about all environment dynamics, how you interact in a relationship, how you talk to somebody. So I'm passionate about psychology because I think his brain is the main component of our life. And so study about it is really interesting. But I approached to that after reading a lot of stuff in smart thinking because I thought, okay, but this continuous repacking of stuff that is anyway translated to me is not okay. So I started to approach and read it. But not often you see books talking about perception. And in the real day-to-day life, that is your main problem because more you have two sides of yourself. One is about the content, and one is how you express that content. If you are really good on content and you are thick on it, you can miss what generally people call as sales skills, marketing kind, how you package, how you express, how you interact. And within that, there is a tons of skills that are all valuable, and some have to be natural as well. But the problem is when you move around across countries, each perceive things differently. See the career example that I made. Think about the difference between UK ownership of a house against the German way of seem more useful to rent. The same is at the time that you are having a job interview. You go, you have your career. He was based in another country, and so he was tuned to that market. But now somebody perceive that with his own metric, and he is giving a continuous perception conflict between what you are and how you get perceived in practical terms. There is nothing emotional into a CV. It's a snapshot of your career. But you find this problem over and over and over. And when you are within a community, you need to be part of a community and build something. But the way how you communicate is also based on the way how you receive the communication, how you perceive the communication as well. I always saw that there are two types of people that move abroad. The one that think that nothing works because they haven't been born there, or the one that doesn't get dragged into that thinking. And actually, I think it's really bad to always think that your life is the product of a choice. You decide to move, you take whatever is coming. And the background of this session is saying, is only a matter of your mindset. But it's really tricky to cope with cultural perception. You can look at me, I didn't shave, and actually the problem is that I finished the razors. But you perceive that in a bad manner, that I wasn't prepared, I didn't care about preparing myself for a video, stuff like that. These one are a silly example. It's it's true, probably a more focus on the content, and this one result in a completely different form, but doesn't have to be bad just because it's different. So all this conversation is about perception, how you cope with the fact that somebody can perceive you in a bad, in a different manner, not in a bad and a good, but in a different. It's natural. It's actually really natural. The first job interview that I had to force myself to not move the hands. And I'm coming from Italy. It's quite common to use hand gesture to support, to emphasize, to add emphasis to your words, to highlight things. And it's really tricky because you see that it's not part or is not perceived in the same way. Is perceived sometimes as insecurity, is perceived as aggressive if you are in certain countries because movements is seen as too emotional. You always need to adapt to the perception, but you reach a stage where your action are based only on the perception, on how you get perceived by people, and that reflects the entire world that is here on YouTube. Because at the end, everybody know that the followers, the liker, and whatever will come only if they like you, if they perceive you the right way. Why is so important the form, the video, the effect of the video, and not the content? So it's like you are splitting the world in two categories: who care about the content and who care about the presentation. And quality has to be across the board, the overall package. But person are not product, and person express themselves in completely different manner. There is one that is more creative, the other one that is more focused on researching things, reading, be sure that each statement is can be defended because it's technically correct. It's difficult because in the working environment they always talk about conflict management. That is already a wrong term because have a different opinion shouldn't be a conflict. It should be the normality of of talking with people. Everybody does have a different opinion based on its own experience. You can't teach to somebody because you are not entitled to teach. You are entitled to share a point of view, and the other one will learn it if he like it. So it's really difficult to to find a self-defense against perception. And if you evaluate the video just based on the fact that there is no animation, there is no graphic context, and it's not important that I choose one frame with a nice background. It's a never-ending story, and you always lose. And sometimes simplicity is the foundation of having a normal life. But you need to maintain also a balance because if you are too simple, you are not adding salt to your life too. And so it's really tricky. There is no solution, but the conflict management books that you read as a manager are actually not trying to understand that an opinion can be different. It's just something that you need to accept. The problem is the confrontation is something that people try to avoid. And so if you follow up and not having confrontation or expressing your opinion, you finish to live a template life. And also career wise you are not adding a value because we base everything on brainstorming. It changed for various ways this approach, but actually if a group need to agree, you'll always reach an agreement, but sometimes it's not always possible. If you need to define in technical terms if something is dangerous, and it's becoming a conversation that is technically difficult because it's based on data, it's based on fact, it's based on everything. But all data get evaluated, get get uh, get checked by a personal bias as well. Why all this conversation about AI fairness in algorithm and everything? Because we are not fair either. And so there, if we learn on something that is already flawed, it's not going to be perfect by design. So I think is an interesting topic to keep in mind if you are relocating abroad. Understand the culture is one of the first suggestions that everybody tell you, but understand how you get perceived is personal because it's based on you, how you are. You can fit some culture better than other as well. Your way of wearing things, your choices are always having better fit somewhere. So it's something to spend a lot of time. You need also to understand what is the acceptable deal between the content and the packaging. I think be true to yourself is the only way to live a life that is fulfilling. That doesn't mean that you are not part of a context, that you need continuously to find deal and agreement. But we need to focus more on perception, on because everything we have around is based on on the effect of how we get perceived, and we are going to miss the content. You have a explanation of that also in advertising. You see how the somebody care on seeing all calories of food. Somebody else care more about the picture of the packaging. Everybody is different. So is so tailored ad hoc that find an overall agreement on what is the perception is the most complicated things. What I can suggest is when you are abroad, trying to understand how you get perceived when you talk, when you do, modify your behavior is okay, but you also need to find a way to be accepted for how you are. Content is important. It's not only packaging. And form is not only packaging. Don't take me wrong. It's art also to express. If you spend efforts on a project and you don't present it well, it will never be really good. Even if it's supported by data, it's supported by hours and hours of study. That's it. I just wanted to give you an heads up on how perception is more important and is not just a cultural matter. I see on Quora, on other framework, a lot of expat stressed about understanding how is live in another place, but it's already a wrong question. You can get two expat, they come from the same country, they move abroad, they stay 2, 3 years. One is happy, the other one no. And that is based on the mix of what they want from their life, what they expect. So we are trying to standardize things and put everything into bucket and template the perception algorithm. B2 is a suggestion because if you need to defend yourself and all the time you are forced to look another manner, it can be tricky. I don't know. The disclaimer is obviously, as I always state, I'm not a medical professional. I have no, I have just a personal interest on traveling, seeing the world, understand how it's going, and personal experience. And so I base on that. Career is something that is a big deal in your life. And pay attention because I discovered that also career can be perceived. And that is a problem when you structure your career in a flexible manner, based on the market. That's tricky. And so think about it in all your choices on the long run. Not everybody does plan a long term, but you always need to keep in check what is the long run, or at least vision is my personal opinion. And as I said, you everybody is entitled to disagree and keep an opinion. And so, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found it interesting, and comment below. Follow the channel so you know when I'm going to publish. I can't commit on a regular basis, but I will try to keep up the content. Take care. Cheers. Bye bye.